Hi guys, it was a bit of a shock to say the least when Rishi Sunak appointed David Cameron to the House of Lords and then made him Foreign Secretary. It was highly unusual to bring back a former Prime Minister, especially one who is no longer a sitting MP. Some suggested it was in part to distract from the sacking of Suella Braverman. Others viewed it as an attempt to make his government appear more serious. Cameron was seen as someone who can network, can get things done, and was viewed as an asset for the Prime Minister. However, David Cameron brought some Brexit baggage with him, namely, he was the head of the Remain campaign and Rishi Sunak was trying to convince people to leave the EU. So when the new Foreign Secretary faced the European Affairs Committee, he took a question from Lord Lamont on the TCA and the single market. Have a listen.
Lord Honey.
But isn't the review clause narrowly drawn and actually is restricted to how the actual free trade agreement has operated, how the TCA has operated? Isn't it, in fact, the reality that as long as you are not in the single market or not in the customs union, you can't really make huge changes to the trading arrangements?
Well, it says, Article 776 of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement says, the parties shall jointly review the implementation of this agreement and supplementing agreements and any matters related thereto 5 years after its entry into force and then every 5 years. So yes, you're absolutely correct in what you say. But I think that still provides quite a lot of maximisation, as it were, and issues arising. And I absolutely agree. You know, we have a massive free trade agreement. That's what we've got. That's what we're going to make the most of. And there'll be plenty of things to discuss under that. But it's not about reopening, we're not suddenly going to reopen free movement or go back into the customs union or any of those things. That is absolutely not what this is about.
Oh my goodness. Like, how can we believe that this guy was the head of the Remain campaign? This was the guy who was telling people the UK has to stay in the European Union because leaving would be a disaster. Leaving the single market would be terrible for the UK economy. And now he's saying, don't worry, we're not talking about rejoining the European Union, rejoining the single market or the customs union. We're going to maximise the TCA. Well, the TCA maximisation is extremely limited. And as Lord Lamont pointed out, who's a brexiteer, Lord Lamont pointed out, well, there's very little you can actually do with the review that's coming up in 2025. So in 2025, the TCA will be reviewed after 5 years, and then, as David Cameron pointed out, after another 5 years, be reviewed again. But it's not up for renegotiation. So the disaster of Brexit is going to remain the disaster of Brexit for the foreseeable future. I said before, the UK will not improve Brexit until it rejoins the European Union. You can tinker around the edges, but you're not going to make any real impact. The UK will still remain a third country. So it makes no sense to try and promote the benefits of Brexit. And during this committee hearing, he tried to spin Brexit as some sort of, well, we're outside now, we have to make the most of it. And yeah, the CPTPP is a great trade deal. We're one of the biggest parties in it. We're going to be able to shape it. We know, and of course he knows, that countries do most of their trade with their neighbours. So the TCA is the best that's on the table at the moment, which is pretty crap, as we know that businesses are still struggling to export, to import. Smaller businesses have just gone to the wall. So smaller businesses have just abandoned the European market. And of course, smaller and medium-sized enterprises in Europe have ceased trading with Britain in some ways because it's just too much hassle. And being outside the single market keeps that in place. So I really don't understand what he's trying to sell here. Yes, nobody's talking about rejoining the single market or the customs union, but we would hope that a Labour Party would be beginning the process of that. But of course, as I said before, you need to be part of the European Union. There's no point talking about the single market on its own. So I'm a bit disappointed with David Cameron. Has he now become a brexiteer? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.